afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here. I'm joined today by Chief Michael Lyle from the Melrose Police Department and Assistant District Attorney Carrie Spiros. We are here to ask for your help in identifying a man who both spray painted and broke a window with a brick in a home on Lindenfels Parkway in Melrose. And I'll give you some details and then we'll show you some video. At about 10:30 on the morning of May 21st of this year, the woman who lives in that home with her family reported to police that a brick had been thrown through the window of her home and that the message, quote, "This is just the beginning," had been spray painted in red on her home. That woman also reported that 3 other properties in New Hampshire that were connected to her, including the home of her parents and a home she had previously lived in, had in April been vandalized with a brick and with obscenities written in red spray paint. She also reported that the home of her boss, also in New Hampshire, had been the subject of the red spray paint, as well as having a brick thrown at the house which had caused a defect or dent in the siding of that home. She reported to the Melrose police that the May incident at her home had been captured on her Ring doorbell. And we're going to show you that video. I'll then tell you a little bit about some details of the description as well as one of the motives that we're looking at for this incident. I'm gonna do it once for me. As you can see from that image captured on the video, it would suggest that the suspect is a white male, relatively slender build, approximately 5'10". A closer examination, when you're able to look at that video a little closer, he is a little bit older. He is wearing a light blue hooded raincoat, khaki pants, black sneakers, carrying a blue-green backpack. And after the brick is thrown, as you saw him running away, he's heading towards Lincoln Street in Melrose. As part of this ongoing investigation, the police are looking at the recent work of the woman who lives in that home, who is a reporter for an outlet, a media outlet in New Hampshire. The incidents of vandalism would be concerning in their own if it is determined that that motive that we're looking at is in fact the reason for these attacks. If it is either in retaliation for some work that she has done or intimidation around work she may be contemplating, that obviously involves some First Amendment concerns and is much more disturbing. The Melrose Police and Chief Lyle have a tips number if people see this video and are able to identify this individual. As I mentioned, the incidents that took place in New Hampshire all involve bricks and red spray paint. The same brick and red spray paint were used in this house. I'm going to turn it over to Chief Lyle and then I'll be happy to take some questions.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Michael Lyle, I'm the police chief in Melrose. First, I want to tell everybody, for the Melrose residents that are maybe watching this tonight, this is clearly not a random act. This was a targeted event. Nobody was injured there. What was missing in that video, there was a first video that actually showed this suspect casing the place. He came back a few minutes later and then did the damage and vandalism. There were 3 women that you may have saw in that video. They were all interviewed. That didn't turn up to anything other than they saw someone run by. So I'll pass it back to DA Ryan for questions, and if I can answer one, please do.
Anybody have any questions?
So, do we think this is the same person connected to all the incidents?
Well, what we know is they're using the same red spray paint and a brick. So the incident on the day of the May incident, there was also an incident. This incident happened about 10:30 in the morning. Shortly before 1 o'clock that same morning, so 9 hours earlier, there was a second assault on the home of the woman's parents in New Hampshire. Again, spray paint and a brick.
Do you guys believe the suspect may be from New Hampshire and is traveling down, or just know?
We don't know that. We don't know that. But, you know, we do, and we can't even say with specificity that it's the same person. We just know it's exactly the same kind of thing. The same obscenity was used in 2 of the incidents, it's the red spray paint and the brick going through the window, except in the home of her boss, where it was aimed at a window apparently, but missed.
When you say obscenity, this is just the beginning, but then it sounds like other obscenities, something else
No.
is.
The May incident in the house in Melrose this is just the beginning. The other incidents that were obscenities that were written on the house in red spray paint.
In Melrose, was anyone home?
They were not home at the time, no.
In all incidents, no injuries.
No physical injuries, no.
Is there anything, has the victim at all, or you think the targeted victim, received any other messages or any other threats?
Not that we're aware of, no. Right. So we're really looking for people's help in looking at this video. It does give a fairly good look, despite the fact that the individual's got his rain hood pulled up on his head. It does give a pretty good look at his face. As I indicated, he's a little bit older. This is not a very young person. And perhaps somebody in looking at that will recognize them and provide us with that information.
So this is, I'm not sure I've ever heard of this happening here locally. This is a very unique situation. If it is in fact involved in what this woman does for work, I guess, what are your thoughts? Obviously it's very pressing that you would find out who is doing this for whatever reason, but does the potential that it's connected to what she does and the work that she's doing, does that?
It makes it much more disturbing. It makes it much more disturbing. Anybody coming home and finding the front window out smashed out of their house and things written on their home, that is disturbing. It's an incredible invasion. If in fact it is targeted, it's one thing when that happens and maybe it's random and your house just happens to be the house they stopped at. Disturbing, but somewhat detached from you. It is certainly of a different level when somebody targets you for whatever reason. And then a third level when somebody would target you for the report, in this case she's a reporter, for the reporting kind of work, if in fact that's the motive. There are obviously First Amendment considerations, and then it just brings it to a whole nother dimension in your life. It isn't just I'm worried about my property, but actually am I going to be affected in doing what my work is because I'm worried about my own family or my own home. And in this case, it is not just the house where she lives with her family, it's her parents' house and her boss's house that have all been, as well as a home that she previously lived in New Hampshire. So it's really spread out across a lot of people that are connected with her. Thank you all, we appreciate your help.
Is there any update at all regarding the 61-year-old woman, the victim?
We are awaiting toxicology reports, and that's gonna be a bit. So that's where we are right down with that. Okay. Thank you all, have a good weekend.